right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live at 5. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Thanks for joining us again in the studio for what I'm going to call the car edition. Not because I'm sitting in the car, because here I am in the studio. But I want to start by giving a nice shout out to my dear friend Jesse Bloom, who was known as the Chosen Auto Broker. He calls himself the auto broker of the chosen people. I don't know if you know the Bloom family, longtime Denver residents, and Jesse is a really a fine young guy who's been really helpful for us when we need car help. You know, some people were born like knowing how to, change their oil. I could change a tire. I've changed many tires, but changing my oil, that's like beyond me. You know what I'm saying? It's not my thing. So once you get to more complex car things, it's not really something that I know how to take care of or to deal with. And when it comes to like acquiring a car, new, used, whatever, I don't know. I've had a few incidents, going into car dealers, which just makes me feel like out of my league. So what you need is someone that you could trust that will go and hold your hand through the process, find you the car you're looking for, and take care of it for you. And look no further, because Jesse Bloom, the chosen auto broker, is that guy. And he, I was just with him, and he's taken care of us with a couple of cars over the last couple of years. And I just wanted to give him a shout out and let everybody know that if you need any help with car acquisition or sales, maybe you're selling it, leasing, renting, buying. I don't know about renting, but he's a good guy, and he'll help you out. It reminds me of a story. There was actually a story that's made its way around the Jewish world. It was a few years ago. It was in the New York area where a lot of religious Jewish people live. And this Jewish guy was driving down one of the highways there, and he saw someone on the side of the road pulled off, looking like they were having some car trouble. So guy drove by, and he looked over, and he saw someone there with a yarmulke on. So he decided, he's going to, as an MOT, as we say, member of the tribe, he's going to go stop, pull over, and help. So he pulls over and says, "Hey, what's going on? What can I do to help you?" And the guy says, "Yeah, I got a flat tire." And he says, "No problem. I'm quite good at changing that. Thank God I didn't need something more complicated, but changing a flat tire I can do." And he changes his tire for him. And then he's they're kibitzing, talking a little bit, and this kind fellow that was changing the tire, he didn't get the sense that this guy was the MOT that he originally thought, a member of the, it just didn't seem, just something made him ask. He said, just wanted to ask, by the way, are you Jewish? The guy says, I'm not Jewish. He says, "Oh, okay, interesting. So, the reason I ask is because I saw you're wearing a yarmulke, which is, typically worn by Jews." And the guy said, my mother told me that I should keep this in the glove box, and if I ever have car trouble, I should just put it on my head and someone come over and pull over and help me. And that's why I put it on. It's a great story. I love that story, right? It's not, but why? Because they knew that Jews are nice. Jews will help. You wear a yarmulke. Jews will look out for each other, and somebody will come by and help you. And sure enough, that was the story. Now I got to tell you another car story. There was yesterday, I think it was. Today's Tuesday. It was yesterday. I was talking to one of my dear friends, and we were talking about the counting of the Omer, and we were talking about some of the specific beautiful Jewish menschlichkeit that is relevant to this week and to this trait. And we were talking about anava, which is modesty, which is humility, not modesty really, but humility. Humility. We were talking about gratitude, being able to express your gratitude. So we'll talk about that maybe a little bit later in the show. So he tells me the following car story. He said, "Yeah, I was one time, a friend of mine, I know his friend, he and his friend have been out, and there was a guy that needed a tire changed. Wasn't a Jewish guy, but they were happy to do it anyway. He pulled over, changed his tire, and this must have been over a decade ago. And he says, I remember vividly that at the end, and we were all done, And this guy was about to drive off on his way, and he just couldn't say thank you. Just couldn't utter the words, couldn't get it out of his mouth. It was like as awkward as it could possibly be as he kind of said he was now going to drive away without even being able to utter the words thank you. Can you imagine? To us, it seems so, it's just so foreign a concept, so strange. The Jewish people are known as Jews because it comes from the word Yehuda, Yehudim, which means technically comes from the word for thankers. We're the thankers. So, that would be crazy for us. That would be totally crazy not to be able to say thank you. Somebody does you an incredible favor, like pulling over and changing your flat tire on the side of the road. You wouldn't even say thank you, to us, of course, it's almost unthinkable. The reason he and I were talking about that kind of story is because, it's sometimes, though, it can be hard to say thank you. The idea of saying thank you can mean, I'm beholden to you. I owe you. You did something for me that I couldn't handle myself. I was in a place of need and I was, struggling and I needed you. And so I'm, saying thank you. I had to come on to your help. So sometimes that's a tough thing to say. But it's one of the most incredibly important things that we could say for so many reasons. Leads me to that's why I wanted to say thank you to Jesse Bloom and and thank you to all those people involved in the car industry who managed to help us to have safe cars to drive. Let's go now to the trait of the week, the meat of the week. Drum roll, please. This week's mida, this week's character trait that we're working on. So the Jewish people are in week number 5 of 7, counting between Passover and Shavuos. Sfiras HaOmer. We are counting. And so this past Sunday we completed week 4, and now we're into week 5 already. And week 5, trait 5 in the list of the 7 divine traits that we think about and that we work on this week. The trait is called Hod. Okay? Hod. Now, Hod is a Hebrew word which is related to the word for Todah. Okay, it's a similar root. Hod and Todah, they are very related. So when we're talking about gratitude, it is very connected. But the basic translation of the word Hod would actually be splendorous or glorious. Okay, Hod is like a radiant, good-looking, glorious appearance. That's Hod. We know that each one of the 7 traits that we're thinking about is associated with one or other of our great Jewish progenitors, our role models. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob are the first 3. And the second 3 are Moses, Aaron, and Joseph. And today is Aharon. Who is Aaron, or Aharon as we pronounce it, maybe more in a more Hebraic way? Aaron was Moses' brother, and he was the Kohen Gadol, the big kahuna, the chief priest of Judaism, of the first chief priest of the temple. And we know that one of the requirements of the priesthood was that they should be of intact, whole, perfect appearance. Interestingly, so it's sort of you might find that odd. But the Torah actually says in this week's Parshas Emor, it gives us all the instructions of what it took to be one of the priests, or that we call them Kohanim, one of the Aaron HaKohen. A Kohen means a priest. One of the priests of the temple, and their requirements included to be free from physical deformity. They had to be, basically physically perfect. Not perfect, but they had to be, couldn't have any significantly noticeable, visible physical deformities of any significant kind. It's a very interesting thing. On the one hand, one might scratch their heads about that and say, Why would that be significant in today's day and age? Is that, we look back at that and we say, well, isn't that superficial? Isn't that, why are we so focused on their appearances? Can't we get a little deeper? We're Jews already. Aren't we interested in, the essence, the soul, the something, what's beneath the surface? Usually something that's just skin deep, that's superficial is really, it's trivial. Why would this seem to be such a big deal? That the Torah mandates that the Kohanim be of unblemished appearance. So it's an interesting question, and we will try to understand that. But it seems to tie in very greatly with the today's trait, which connects us directly with the high priest of Hod, of splendorous appearance, beautiful appearance. So as opposed to some of the earlier week's traits that we discussed, like chesed, like kindness, I think chesed is a very, easily understood character trait. You should be a kind person. You should be thinking about others and be giving to others and doing for others. I mean, chesed, it's pretty clear. We can talk about that. Even gevura, the next of the traits, which is about discipline and self-control and restraint, the opposite of chesed perhaps, but it's pretty easily understandable and accessible to us. This trait this week is a little more complicated. So, live at 5, this is like a 401 level live at 5. Okay, you get extra credit for you're going to get your live at 5 badge with 2 stars, for today. The concept of Hod, and in terms of our appearance, is, I'm going to start with the concept of if we look at the beautiful sky, the beautiful night sky. If we look up at the night sky, there is one thing that we see in the sky with which the Jewish people relate to most significantly. What is that? Of all the stars, it's actually the moon. And as Jews, the Jewish people, when we look up in the sky, we're kind of like symbolized, represented in a sense in the sky by the moon. Okay, as opposed to the sun. The sun also, making a grand appearance in the sky, is generally associated with the rest of the nations of the world. But the moon in the sky, that's us. So what is it about the moon that we connect to? There are many things, but one in particular is that when we're seeing the moon lit up in front of our eyes, it's not because the moon is its own internal, intrinsic source of light. It doesn't provide its own light. It doesn't create its own light. It reflects light. It reflects the light of the sun. So the fact that you could see sometimes a little more moon and sometimes a little less moon lit up in the sky is because it's able to reflect a little more or a little less of the light from the sun to your eye. But the light that you see of the moon, it's only the bounced and reflected light of the sun. Now that is really a very Jewish idea, which is that we are here to reflect. We're here to when there's a divine glory that would be shown down upon us, then we could like bounce that back at the world, and then we can reflect greatness into the world. It's not so much that we're thinking to create greatness. Look at me, I am the greatness, I'm doing great, I'm splendid, in an egotistical way. But rather from a very humble place. A very humble place is to say, you know what? It's really not about me. This great achievement is not mine. It's not something I take credit for. It's just these are just strengths that have been given to me that are reflected outwards back to the world. This is a perspective, a very Jewish perspective. We're here in this world to reflect godliness out, and that is a splendid appearance. It's a glorious look. It is somewhat superficial, perhaps you could say, but it's the way that we appear. It's the way that we are seen, is the way that people react to us. That the way that they should see the Jewish people is if we are genuinely a godly people, a people of the Torah, that we live the values and the principles, the moral and ethical life that's laid out for us in the Torah, that God gives us to do. The fact that we're that in a few weeks we're going to be celebrating that we went to Mount Sinai and God said, "Here, you want my Torah?" And we said, "Well, how much does it cost?" And he said, "Well, it's free." We said, "Well, take 10. Right, we want to be the people of the book, that we receive the Torah. That was a little joke about the free "we'll take 10" part stuff back there, but we're hoping to embody that in a way that others can see it. It would be a very great tragedy. It is a very great tragedy if the world sees us with anything less than leading the most elevated moral lives. That's a tragedy. They say, look, you're the chosen. You think you're the chosen people. You're godly people, and you do something that's immoral or unethical, and that would be a tragedy. We have to make sure that everything that they see from us is a fulfillment of the Torah's values and principles. Okay, it doesn't mean that if what they consider to be moral, right, and just is a perversion of the Torah's values, that we have to subscribe to it, and that they have to see us, that the world should see us as doing whatever they think is right. That's not what was required. We have to reflect godliness. What we see in the Torah, the values that God teaches us, that's what we have to shine with outwards. And that's why when someone comes to the temple and they encounter a priest of God's, a temple priest, what they have to see is greatness, beauty. They have to see wholeness. They have to even in the most superficial way, but entirely, intrinsically, extrinsically, from essentially and superficially, all completely, the perception that one has to have when seeing the representative of God in the world is wholesomeness, to be intact, to be well, to radiate with everything good. And so that's a specific requirement of the priests. And in fact, the Torah says that the entire Jewish people, we are a nation of priests. We are it's called an Am Segula Umamleches Kohanim. The Torah says that God brought us out of Egypt and took us to Mount Sinai to make us his treasured nation and a kingdom of priests. A whole kingdom of priests. It means every one of us is like a little bit like a priest. And we all have to be able to do our best to radiate outwards to the world with that reflect that godliness. And that's what Hod really is about. So that means when you say thank you, when someone says gives you a compliment, and you say, oh, thank you, thank you for the compliment. Really, what you should really be saying along with that is, but at the end of the day, it's not me. You're actually addressing, you should want to address the source of all goodness. That would be God. The Medrash tells us very famously that was how our forefather Abraham worked. Is that he would put up his tent on kind of the crossroads, the travel routes, and people would be coming by, and he would wait to see what he could do for them and if he could offer them any assistance. Sure enough, lots of people, there would be people that had a camel, a flat on his camel, and Abraham had to come out and change a tire. It happened all the time. And afterwards, he would be so helpful. They would say, thank you. And he would say, don't thank me. Thank the one that provides us with all our needs and all our greatness. And then we would, and he would be able to suggest that people then could develop that recognition that we are just mirrors of everything great that we've been given. And we have ultimately the source of all goodness to thank. And that's a little bit of Hod, reflecting that glory. Now I'm going to pause here for today because I've got a very special guest. I'm very excited. I'm getting welcome into the studio. Come on and join me. This is such a thrill. My dear friend is going to come and join us here. Eli Goldstein.
That was easy.
So great to see you, Eli. This is awesome. Now, for those of you in the studio here, I didn't tell everybody that Eli was coming on, and you're vaccinated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So am I. So we're allowed to be a little close to each other because we're both good and we're both vaccinated, and that's our deal. But it is so nice to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Eli and I. So this is my this is my daily show. About 30 minutes. You can see the studio. It looks like we're live.
Oh, yeah.
See, we're in the studio there. And every day for 30 minutes at 5 p.m. I get on, and there's a bunch of my dear friends on Zoom that are with us, and then it's also on Facebook Live.
Oh my.
So you could tell your mom that say, Mom, I was on Rabbi Leban's live at 5 this week, and she'll be so excited because
she'll enjoy.
She can watch the reruns. Okay, it's on when it's syndicated.
Okay.
Eli and I have known each other for 15, 18 years maybe.
About 15, I'd say.
He used to be in my in a Talmud class.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of my fondest memories way back when. I love getting the opportunity to teach Talmud, especially like once upon a time I was a beginner. Everybody's a beginner at some point.
I was definitely a beginner.
And it was a beginner Talmud class. We were learning about, remember?
Sukkot.
Sukkot, the holiday of Sukkot. We were learning tractate Sukkot. Look at that. See, it's been a long time.
I won't forget it.
Yeah.
Never. It was me and Jack Grazi.
Yeah, and Baral, and
that
also
opened up an entire world for me.
Yeah,
I really appreciated you doing that.
It was special too. Yeah, it was nice.
That was wonderful.
So, meanwhile, you're what are you doing here tonight?
I am cooking for Rabbi Danny this evening.
Wow, that's awesome.
I got a text yesterday. It said, "We need somebody to help us. Can you do it?" I said, "Yes, I can."
That's so.
So I'm
nice.
here making food for people.
You're volunteering. You're amazing. And what are you making?
We are making vegetarian fajitas and dip. Very fancy stuff. Very fancy.
So I wonder what is fancy. If you're making it, it's fancy. Is it by any chance Taco Tuesday tonight?
Apparently.
Yeah. So this is a new program. If you're a Jewish young professional and you're watching the show, then you want to come on down tonight. At what time does it start here?
6:30.
6:30.
6:30 is
for
food.
Taco Tuesdays with vegetarian fajitas, which sounds delicious, and a class with Rabbi Danny and Sarah.
Yes.
Who, by the way, are vegetarians, which is probably why you're making it vegetarian.
It makes it easier on me too.
Really? Why?
It's just less complicated with just vegetables. It's easier.
Is that because of the kosher milk and meat thing? It makes it less complicated.
It's the timing of it. Is that we have to get a lot done in the next hour, and so getting everything appropriately cooked on time with very little space for error. It's just easier if it's all kind of one thing. Where did
you get your significant restaurant background, kitchen experience that you know those kinds of things? Where would you say that comes from?
Nowhere, actually. Well, first off, my mother. I grew up cooking with her.
Okay, that's nice. That's what I want to hear.
And
a Jewish mother is behind all good cooking experience that you have.
She's the person that I aspire to be as far as that goes. And I have a long way to go. And then I've been involved in food for the better part of a decade.
Yeah.
Now, so I've been around a lot of very high-end professionals. So I'm terrible in comparison to them. So I get a little bit and you learn as you go along.
Eli, you're such a great guest to have on my show today. I just have to say, for a variety of reasons. One was because, although you didn't know it because you were in the kitchen, but we were talking about humility today. And look at you just get out here and then start spouting off these beautiful. You're a humble guy and you're like the perfect guest. So
I appreciate
nice.
That.
One of the Zoom guests on the show asked if your folks are Arnie and Sarah Goldstein. Is that your parents?
How did they know?
So we've got some you got fans. You got fans on the show. So what can I say? So that's nice.
Maybe my parents have fans.
Yeah, your whole family.
I guess so.
So for a while you were working at the bread place.
Izio Bakery.
Izio Bakery.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was I remember you most recently one of the fond memories I have of recently was you gave me a tour of the bakery back there. Do you remember that? It was a couple years ago, back before the pandemic, and I got this personal tour of the Izio Bakery. Now, if you're not familiar with Izio Bakery, you might otherwise know, because it's even better known, that it was called Udi's. Originally, this was called Udi's, and Udi's, the Israeli family that has done some stuff. They have a place in Central Park. It used to be called Stapleton. And they have They have a couple places.
Yeah.
This bakery, Izio's, very, very cool kitchen bakery. That tour.
It was a very unique place. Still is. It's a very large artisan bakery, and luckily, Itai actually recruited me out of Ikar.
Ikar Farm, that's right, where you were managing the Jewish urban farm called Ikar Farm over here near the Dot School campus.
Yeah,
that was right. That was a good job.
That was
very cool. Volunteer.
I'd say it was a different life. so to speak.
You were a farmer.
Yes, I was using my hands a lot more in the dirt. But again, wonderful place where you can definitely go to really kind of learn the very basics of how you actually grow things.
Yeah.
So that was a really good experience.
And Izzy's Bakery is under kosher supervision. Is that not right?
Yes, it is.
It is right. Our Scroll K comes out there. Which one of the rabbis do you remember coming out there?
Rabbi Joseph.
Rabbi Joseph.
Yes.
I love him. Rabbi Elchanan Joseph, I was on the phone with him last night, and or maybe it was even this morning. He really is a nice guy.
He's a wonderful person. He was always very kind and considerate when I had questions.
Yeah.
Which I had a lot of, because if you have somebody who knows what they're talking about, get some information.
Yeah, that's really true. That's really true. So you're in the Jew Pro volunteer. You're at the top of the Jew Pro volunteer list, and tonight you're making the vegetarian fajitas.
Yes.
What's for dessert?
Nothing. Education.
It's gotta be some dessert, Eli. Come on.
I follow direction. I don't
no
create
dessert.
the plan.
Okay, we have to after the show. We'll have to figure out some dessert. I can't not. Are there beers? You got at least there's some alcohol.
You're talking to the wrong person. I just follow direction.
You making fajitas?
I make the food. I put the food out. Past that, that's on them.
Okay, very nice. So when you came over here, did because our kitchen's a kosher kitchen?
Yes.
So did your ingredients get checked in?
Not by me. They were here and ready to go.
They were here ready. They were checked in before you even got here.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. You got
Yes,
some.
sir.
You got some instructions. Which side is the dairy side? Which side is the meat side? You got a little heads up on that.
Yes, I was definitely informed of that.
Good.
Which was very helpful.
That was my daughter. Did you know that?
That's really funny.
All right, you haven't seen them in a long time. They're
wow.
not little kids yet.
She did a very good job. She said, before I leave, I need to make sure you know these things. I said, I do, but go ahead, tell me, just so we're on the same page.
That's what we do. So Rabbi Joseph in the Scroll K, when we were opening the center, gave us their guidelines how we should run our kitchen, and it's not a VAD supervised kitchen, but it's a VAD approved kitchen, which means that food coming out of here can travel between other VAD approved kitchens around the city, and if someone wanted to do something here, it would be with that basic level of supervision, because we of course only want kosher food coming out of here.
Yes, sir. All right, may I get to cooking now?
Yeah, you're gonna get back to cooking. Thanks for joining us on the show, Eli. This
Thanks
is really
for having
special.
me. Bye, everybody.
Okay, well, everybody who knows Arnie and Sarah Goldstein will please tell them that their son is doing great things here, volunteering for the Jewish Experience. He's back in the kitchen, and what a treat! A fine young guy, and humble. Well, did you see that? Look how little credit he wanted to take for anything that he's learned and that he knows. And really wonderful guy. So just to give him a shout out, and a shout out to Rabbi Danny and Sarah. And if you know anybody that would like to come for in their 20s and 30s to come for Taco Tuesday tonight, tell them to hurry, because food's on the fire, and that program will be starting in 30 minutes. We're gonna call it a show here, folks. I've got to keep my eye on him in the kitchen. I'm the supervising, and we will see you. The event the event. I see you got a question in from one of our viewers. I think it goes from 6:30 to probably about 8. Have a wonderful day. Have a healthy day. Have a holy day, and see if you can reflect a little goodness into this world, a little hod, and we'll pick up tomorrow, God willing, and we'll see you on Live at 5.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, everybody.